Hello everyone, this is episode number 19 of The Power of Practice, and on today's show you're going to be learning how to improve your relationships through self-awareness with two of my guests, Dolphin and Susan Kasper. So welcome once again to The Power of Practice on Air. I'm your host, Lisa Ingalls. I'm an author, a speaker, and a mindset mastery coach, and I'm the founder of Inner State Coaching, where I help visionary leaders to create radical change in the world by first creating radical change within themselves. And this platform here, The Power of Practice, is one of the ways in which I can support other visionary leaders like the guests that I have today. You can learn more about me and the work that I do and the services that I offer over at www.innerstatecoaching.com. While you're there, you can also pick up a free report on the 5 steps to creating radical change in your life. So in my 20 years of working as a coach, it has become very, very clear to me that creating change in our lives, transforming our lives, isn't about doing certain things. It's about doing things in a certain way, which of course requires just a little bit of practice. So in this show, The Power of Practice, what I do is I bring guest experts on from all different fields, from business and relationships to health and well-being and finances, everything that you can think of. And I ask my guests all the same question. And that one question that I ask them is, what one practice can you share with us that can create radical change in our lives? And in doing this, it helps you, the viewers, to turn your stumbling blocks into stepping stones. So welcome once again, and if you're joining us live today, please let us know that you're here. You can leave a comment in the comment box below. Let us know any questions that you might have, any comments, because we can bring them into the show as well. We like to do that. We like to keep the engagement going. So relationships are easy, right, until they aren't, which happens at some point, right? It's the misunderstandings, the judgment, resentment, and disappointment that all come up as symptoms of a deeper underlying cause that has to do with how we perceive ourselves and others in any type of situation or given circumstance. And that quote, I think it was said by Socrates, to know thyself is really a timeless piece of wisdom that can benefit any relationship, but it's something that can't just be learned by reading it. It is something that has to be practiced, and that's why I'm so grateful to have my guests here today, who are Dolphin and Susan Kasper. They are a mother and son team. They're the first mother and son team that I've had on this show, which I think is exciting. And they bring a really unique depth and connectedness to the work of human evolution. That's what I'm really excited about. And they are the founders of Evolve Now and the co-authors. They authored a book together called The Midas Effect. It's coming out this week, I believe. Well, they're going to tell us. And they believe that by becoming fully aware of the inner and the outer worlds, that we can tap into our capacity to respond to the full spectrum of human experience, and that as we master this perspective, we can act without being pulled off of balance, which ultimately will lead to us showing up differently in our relationships. So they're going to be sharing a practice with us today. We'll get into that in just a little bit. It's going to help you to maintain and activate the ability to stay present with what's happening inside simultaneously as you become present to what's happening with what's going on within other people as well. So without further ado, I'm going to welcome my guests, Susan and Dolphin Kasper. Welcome to the show, you guys. You can unmute yourselves and come on in.
Thanks, Lisa. Really nice to be here.
Hi, Lisa. Nice to be here.
Yeah, wonderful to have you guys. And let's just dive into this subject of awareness in relationships. And I think, you know, a lot of people these days are becoming very aware and conscious in relationships, and there's this whole thing about conscious relationships, and a lot of people do the work. Honestly, I think now more than ever, you see people making an effort to have conscious relationships, and yet there still tends to be a lot of struggle around relationships. In fact, one of the biggest selling things when you go on the internet or anywhere is like, find the love of your life, be in the relationship of your life. Why is there so much struggle in relationships even if and when we've done the work?
Well, I'd like to start. I'm sure Susan has some things to add. One of the things that we notice as we start to engage in more of this internal work and more of the work of being in the world in a new way is that a lot of people enter into this work with a perspective of, I'll do the work and then it'll be easier and it'll be better and everything will be the way that I want it to be. And there's some truth in this. What I've found and in working with people is that as we do this work, lots of new things open up, new beautiful things, new difficult things. And so in a way, anyone that comes to it hoping to do some work and then have all the good stuff and none of the bad stuff, they get stuck, because being more awake, being more present, doesn't mean that it's only the good stuff and none of the bad stuff. It means there's more of everything to take care of, more of everything to really respond to with authenticity and truth. And if we're clear about that, if our orientation is just about to take care of our presence and our awareness and our ability to live fully, then we don't have a problem when more difficulty shows up, even after all of this work that we've done.
I think that that's such a great point, that just because you've done the work doesn't mean things are necessarily going to get easier, but that what we've done is we've expanded our capacity to respond in perhaps a more aware way within relationships, and sometimes we're given the gift of more difficulties coming into our life when this happens. So yeah, I think you're right on about that, Dolphin. I love that. And do you have anything to add to that, Susan?
Yes, I do. The thing about the difficulties and people who do work with themselves is that it's not, they misunderstand. They think there'll be less difficulty, but it's really that they get a different perspective on their difficulty. So from a deeper perspective inside, then the way you're looking at difficulty is transformed. And now it's almost like difficulty turns and becomes opportunity, because you're seeing that the only way that relationship will go deeper is the only way it will go deeper is if you go deeper. And the way that you go deeper is to go beyond the next difficulty. Because we all know, if we look in our lives, that the most difficult times, when we look back in retrospect, we see how much we grew, we see how much we saw, how much we felt. So then, knowing that going deeper is actually going to expand the relationship. And now your perspective on those difficulties is, wow, that's going to take me even deeper.
Yeah, that's...
Sorry, Lisa, I just wanted to add a little story. It reminds me of...
Oh, and Dolphin, before you do that, can you turn up your volume? You're not quite loud enough. Or change your mic to your head mic. It might be that, just so that we can get your volume a little bit louder.
Okay, how is that right now?
That sounds better.
Okay. So I just wanted to add about... it reminds me of when we're close to a body of water and the water's really cold, and when we choose to dive in and spend some time in the cold water, we get used to it. It enlivens us. It makes us feel fresh and sharp, and we're glad that we did it. And then the next time we're standing at the edge of that body of water, there's this part of us that goes, I don't want to. It's too cold. And so it's sort of like we know from looking back that it really works. And sorry, I think I lost audio. Am I still with you?
You're still here. We can hear you well.
Great. yeah, we know that it's good, and we know that we'll be glad that we did it, and still in us there's this part that doesn't want to face that cold, that sharpness of the cold water. So that seems relevant to what we're talking about.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm going to actually pull up a comment just from Crystal Cassan, who says, right on, doing the work prepares us for more experiences. It doesn't take them away, but it helps prepare us for seeing them differently and appreciating them in a new way. So that was just her comment from what you guys had been saying. So, so this is maybe a good sort of segue into what it means to be in a self-aware relationship. And I'll let whoever wants to take that one. Dolphin?
That's a big question. What it means to be in a self-aware relationship. What comes to me is that when we come to a relationship hoping that we're going to get something, that we're going to satisfy something inside from the relationship or from this other person, then what we're actually doing is we're coming from a place of lack, where we feel like something's missing in us, and we're going to try and fill that with something or someone else. And the reality is that it's just not possible. That space is actually being created by us. It's being created by our own belief and our own agreement about what we perceive as lack. And so for me, being in a self-aware relationship is the importance of knowing that on your own, as you are, there is no lack, and then you're bringing a wholeness to sharing with another person. And then there's, because you're not coming from a place of lack, there's this desire to give. You give more fully. There's not a fear of giving too much because you know you're complete on your own. So that piece feels really fundamental and important, very central in terms of awakened relationships.
Yeah, and Susan, I'll let you contribute, but we'll unmute you. There you go.
Yes, that awareness, what it allows you to do is be with someone, and you're focused on more than yourself, and you're focused on more than the other person. You're actually focused on this entity called your relationship with them. So when you become self-aware, you're actually able to expand into a larger view of what is going on. So, and that self-orientation, it's nothing wrong with it, but you kind of you can set it aside and be involved with what is good for this whole, which is the two of you, or in some cases even more than two. But for the relationship, now it becomes a larger entity.
Yeah, I know for myself, particularly in the relationship I'm in right now with my fiance, one of the wonderful things about coming into this relationship has been that we both are able to notice what it is about us that's contributing to the relationship and making it what it is, and then not taking personally. I think that's a huge thing that has happened in the past for me in relationship, is taking whatever happens in my partner's life or personally, that it's about me and that I'm in some way contributing to their pain or whatever it is. And I think taking that off of my back and say, you know what, I don't need to take that personally. I'm here and I'm showing up as who I am unconditionally, and that's just who I am, has been a huge piece in my relationship, which I think I would classify in the self-aware relationship as well.
It's so perfect that you said that, Lisa, because the practice we're bringing today is exactly about that. So I look forward to sharing it later.
I forgot to unmute myself there. I'm like, awesome! With that and unmute. But that is a perfect segue. We can Or Dolphin, do you have anything else to say, or do you guys can segue into the practice that we're going to share, because it's a 3-step practice that you're going to share?
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's time to move into the practice for sure.
Yeah, so I'd like to start, and I'd like to just briefly frame it by how it came about, because I was leading workshops for many years already, and in one weekend workshop that I did, I just felt obsessed with this idea of satisfaction. I was asking people all the time, when they express themselves, are you satisfied? And that question became like just something that carried me through for that whole 2 days. And what it came down to is this question of when we're expressing ourselves, when we're being with another, where does the satisfaction come from? So where does the satisfaction come inside each person that allows for a kind of a mutual satisfaction? And during that workshop, many exercises and processes were just coming through me, and I was asking people to do things, and I didn't even know why or where we were going to get to with them. But it did start this whole way of working with people that you're going to be able to benefit from today, which became labeled the relating meditation. And that's what is our unique process that we do, is called the relating meditation. And what it's about primarily is how to be here with me as I'm being here, as I'm being with you. So usually what people do, and even very self-aware people, is they go inside, they close their eyes, and they have a meditation, or they discover something, or they feel something inside. And while they're doing that, the other one is not really involved. Or they get really involved out there with the other and what the other is saying, and try to understand what they're saying, and try to give what is needed out there, and they leave behind this inner world that has their own experience and presence. So what this relating meditation does is it's very simple, but it cuts through that, so that, yeah, actually, as I'm being with another, I'm also understanding how to be with myself. So now we're actually being together not with the other, but with ourselves and the other. And that's the whole premise of the relating meditation.
So then what would the first step in this relating meditation be? How does that look? How would one practice this? I love that concept. I think it's really beautiful.
Do you want to start, Dolphin?
Sure.
Give the first bit.
And I just want to check in with my audio, because I'm not getting any audio indicators there. Am I okay?
Yes, we can hear you on our side.
Okay. So with the relating meditation, like Susan was just talking about, it's very much a simplification of how we are with ourselves and with another. And so in our workshops, how we do it is that we're in dyads, which is just pairs of people, and they're sitting close with one another, facing one another, and one person will start and they'll say, as I'm sitting here with you, or as I'm looking at you, I feel. And then what they're going to do initially is they're going to explore with their awareness what's going on in their body, and they're going to find one physical sensation, a specific physical sensation, and we ask them to share that with the other without any additional information or story. So it's not, I have an ache in my lower back because this morning I was shoveling the snow. It's just the sensation. And so we're trying to sort of distill what's occurring right now without adding anything from the past, which is a very common inclination for us human beings. We want to apply meaning, we want to make sense of things and understand, which is fine, but it tends to kind of get in our way of just being present with our experience and with what's going on with the other. And then they'll go back and forth. As I'm looking at you, I feel, and a physical sensation, and then another, and then another. And we're kind of just settling ourselves into simplifying what we're doing with our awareness and building this, like flexing this muscle that's fairly unpracticed in most people, of being present to what's going on in me while I remain present with what's going on outside of me. And what that allows for is an unconditional presence. So I don't no matter what's going on in me or outside of me, I don't have to go away to sort it out, to then come back and be with someone. Now we're learning how to maintain presence in the midst of any circumstance. So now our presence and our ability to connect becomes unconditional. And that's what I explained is just the first layer, and there's more dimensions that we add. But if you're looking, you can start to sense that with this kind of simple presence and ability to look in and out at the same time, we cut through story, we cut through sort of self-created ideas and beliefs, and we become just the awareness that's here sharing a moment with another. And everything in our relationships actually grows out of that kind of connection and presence.
So how long do you stay in that mode of going back and forth with the right now I'm feeling back and forth? Is that like, do you just share, would I just, for instance, so if I was doing this with Susan, I would say, right now my hands are cold.
Yeah, so
we would go back and forth for a minute, or how long do we do that?
I can speak to that. So first of all, we would always be saying, it's just a tiny little piece, but we'd always be saying, as I'm with you, as I'm sitting here with you. Yeah. So as I'm looking at you, I feel a tension in my belly. Or as I'm looking with you, I feel an itch on my left elbow. So it's very simple, just like that. And we would go, really, I would say just 2 or 3 minutes would be lovely. You certainly can do it longer than that, but it's just about, it's not about the sensation. I always tell people it's not about your sensation, but it's about just what Dolphin was saying about you exercising the muscle of as I'm with you, I'm looking within. As I'm looking without at you, I'm seeing you. I'm with my eyes and my ears and everything, and I'm also looking inside at the very same moment. So it's really important. That as is really important.
You're doing the simultaneity. You have the simultaneity going on.
Yes. Yeah. So sometimes that's difficult for people because they're very used to going either in or out, and now that, especially that tendency to go out, really causes people to lose their connection with themselves. And so then what happens when that degrades, it becomes like you. So when you get an argument with someone and all of a sudden you're out there, and what you were looking out there to make better, you're now looking out there to blame. And so this exercise really brings you back to I'm here as well as there. And that first layer is using the physical because it's very accessible. And then when you refine that, then the second level of that, you bring in the emotional body. So of course we know we have a physical body, and we also know we have emotions. Everybody knows what it is to be fearful or angry or sad or happy. So those basic emotions we bring in, and we will do the same exercise in the second layer of as I'm looking at you, I feel a tightness in my throat, and I feel frustration. So that's sort of in the anger realm. So we kind of distilling and giving people a chance to come back to, oh yeah, I have a body, physical, I have an emotional body too, and as I'm being with you, I can also be with the experience I'm having, which I think Dolphin so beautifully said, because as in any circumstance, no matter what is going on with me, as I'm looking at you, I feel terror. As I'm looking at you, I feel rage. And I'm still being with you. I'm not making that a reason to go away or withdraw. So now it's really all okay. I don't have to become more enlightened to be with you. I just have to be with what is.
I think that it's so profound what you guys are talking about. The simplicity of what you're presenting here is very, the simplicity of it can be very deceiving. I think, because I've done a lot of work in nonviolent communication, and it can be and a lot in my coaching can be very challenging for people to tune into what am I feeling, and sometimes in the work of what I've picked up from the work of nonviolent communication, and I'm wondering how this fits into the work that you do in this actual practice, is the tendency for people to say, I feel like the blah, 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 blah. So it's not even a feeling, it's a thought, right?
Exactly.
So we need to be aware that just because we say, I feel, if you're following that with the word like or that, then it's not really a feeling. A feeling is a one word usually, right?
Yes, that's right, and that's why we work with people in discerning that emotional body. That it's really, emotions are really a certain level of experience that is just the feeling of emotion, and so that takes a lot of practice, because you want to really find what that emotion is and not have it be like, I'm thinking, I feel like you're doing this, because all of a sudden you can see how it's like, okay, I'm using the word feeling to justify, this is what I'm feeling, and then I'm going like this. So yeah, that takes a lot of practice and discerning, but it really has value if you're willing to stay with it and to really be honest and say, okay, what is that an emotion? And then we, in our book, in our workbook, we really make it very clear what the emotional body is.
Dolphin, did you have anything to add to that?
It was just something about the practice. You were asking how long to do it. I mean, if everyone in the world sat down and did this 5 minutes a day every day, relationships in the world would completely transform. So the value in coming to it as a practice is really big. But also last night in a workshop, I was just brought to a story, an idea that I remember about a master walking through the forest at night with a student, and the master points to the sky and says, look, and the student looks at the master's finger, but the master's pointing to the moon. And the student misses the moon because the student is so enamored with the master. And so what we know is that, like any practice, if it's really bringing us home, if it's bringing us to what's essential in us, at a certain point, we don't need the practice anymore. And so the practice is really to make the practice unnecessary. And this is just the same. It's not about doing it right. It's not about an hour a day, every day. It's about allowing the practice to direct us or point us in the right direction. And then as soon as we see the moon, we don't need the finger anymore.
I love that. And like you're saying, I love the piece that you say about the practice. The purpose is to have the practice become unnecessary, which means that we've then embodied being that, which it is that you're talking about, self-aware in relationship.
Yes, we believe in creating our own obsolescence. So in our work, it's always like we love when someone says, "I really got this," like I have it with me, and we're not here to make sure that people keep needing to do this, but we're constantly saying it's not this, it's not the practice, it's not the words, it's that place that you find in yourself that really, in a way, no matter what you say, will be filled with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's beautiful. And so then, is there a third step to this? It's the physical, the emotional, and was there another step, or it's that we can add that and go?
Yeah, well, you brought it up. Actually, it's the mind, and it's a big one for us. And we talk a lot in our workshops about how in this Western culture, especially, we live from the neck up a lot of the time. We've sort of forgotten about our physical body and our emotional body and the brilliance of these bodies, but it's also not a matter of demonizing or making wrong the thought. It's not a problem. We need thought. We need thought to navigate and to function practically in this world. And all of these practices, so as we engage and include the physical body and listen to it really fully, and the emotional body and listen, and then the mental body and listen, we in a way, we're kind of creating a rightful relationship with these bodies instead of applying meaning that doesn't really belong and applying value that doesn't really belong. Things get to be what they are, and then we get to actually use them properly. I can now use my emotional experience to inform me, to educate me on what's going on in that space. Same with the mental. I can use my mental body to inform me. It can be this beautiful vehicle for expression and communication as long as I have a rightful relationship with it. So the practice of the relating meditation is about including these bodies, coming to a place of real openness and acceptance with them so that a rightful relationship can kind of find its way again. And from there, life and relationships change and become just wide open. Our webinar is called Relationships Unlimited, and that's really the quality that becomes available through this relating meditation.
Mm. So that's all the pieces, if I'm understanding correctly, you're always saying, as I'm looking at you, I feel, and then and that would be the physical sensations. As I'm looking at you, I feel. Then you would say the emotional piece, and then the last one would be, as I'm looking at you, I think, or I'm thinking.
No, okay. Yeah. So actually in that one, and we do other things before, because the mind is so intricate and complex. It's not like you can just say, okay, now we're going to have the mind. It's not like that. But there's actually a series of things we do, and I'm just going to briefly say them because I know we're coming toward the end. The first thing we do, and that you can do right away, it's the beginning of a practice we do, and that is just sit with someone and just put a timer on, and just one person says to the other, talk to me, and that other person just talks for 3 minutes. And they just say whatever they say, and that first person just listens, and then you just switch and you do it again, the other person, and you can do that a couple of times. That's the beginning of a practice we do. So just talk to me, and that person says, then they get a chance to just let that mind just really free flow out without any interruption. And then the second part, coming back to that relating meditation. So as I'm with you, I feel a body sensation, I feel an emotion, and I have this thought. And if you just keep it to one thought, you can actually manage that crazy mind, which can go everywhere. And you just say, I have a thought, and the thought is, and you name it. And yesterday in our group, someone said they really got this when I said to them, your thought is just like an itch on your elbow. It's just another experience you're having, and it is a thought. It is not real in deepest reality. It is your thought. So that's kind of what you can take with you in that. So as I'm with you, I have this thought, and the thought is, I don't know why I ever looked at you, or whatever the thought is, but then the perfect thing to follow that with is go back to that 3 minutes, just saying whatever you have to say and listening, because you can get into trouble with that thought too.
Yeah, and I think what's great about what you're saying is to keep it encapsulated to a certain period of time. I'm doing some work with some amazing people who do what's called conscious collective communication, and a particular method where they keep it to no more than 1 to 2 minutes of sharing. So I love that you have put a time frame on it, because it's really easy for some people to just start talking. And I know, speaking for myself, I have the type of personality that will sit and listen and listen, and then I just get like, okay, I lose. So having the time frame is good, is all I'm saying.
And it's
go ahead.
And it's also very good for another reason, in that when your time is up, your time is up. You just stop. And what that does after a few times is make you realize it wasn't so important. It wasn't so important. I was talking, I was saying, I was thinking, and now the other person's talking, saying, and thinking. And you just switch.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Do you have anything to add on that, Dolphin?
I love these simple processes more and more as I'm working with Susan. What they open up in me, what they open up in the people we work with, and with that additional piece, that talk to me exercise between two people, in a way, it's another layer of recognizing that whatever the content is, whatever thoughts that are going on, that what we're really interested in at the most fundamental level is being together. You know, if it comes to a head and this is our last moment in life with another person, all of that stuff falls away. And so what we're interested in is, let's have all that stuff fall away while we still have time together. And that's the beauty of awakened relationships. It's the beauty of what this work that we're doing is a doorway to.
Wow, that was beautifully put. Really, really wonderful. And it's clear how much passion you both have around this work and the work that you're doing together. And I think that you two represent the evolution of where we're going in this type of work, because you're bringing in I want to say ancestry. You're bringing in that line of this is my family into it, and I have a very similar experience with my mother and us doing work together and some stuff that I'm doing with my daughter. And I think that this is really, truly, I'm seeing this an evolution of as we heal in our family and we're doing this type of work together and bringing our work to the world in this way. Oh my gosh, it's like, so it's so cool. I want to acknowledge that you both, that you're doing this together in this way, because it's really, really beautiful to see the two of you together, and I'm excited that you came on to the show. And I also want to give you some time to tell us about the book, The Midas Effect, and where people can look for it, how they can get in touch with you. Susan, do you want to start out? Oh, we got you on mute. Oh, I can unmute you.
The Midas Effect is our new book. It's been a collaboration, a beautiful collaboration of Dolphin and mine, and it's about finding the essence of what makes relationships golden and golden treasures as they were meant to be. And that the launch for that is on the 14th, which coincides with our webinar, which you're all welcome to come to. It's a 75-minute webinar called Relationships Unlimited, as Dolphin said, and it's also about looking at the 3 biggest mistakes people make in their relationships and how you can avoid them, how you can really walk through them. So that's coming, and that's 6 p.m. Pacific time, and you know, following the rest of the times that you'll be able to get to. So I'll let Dolphin say more because he's more knows the details better.
Yeah.
Well, I just wanted to check in, Lisa. I assume on the event page for this that there'll be the link for that can be placed up.
Yep, I'm going to place it now. If you give it to me, I'll put it right on the event page.
So I'll send that in. So that'll be available. And just to say it so people who are on right now can check it out. The website that we're at is Evolve HDS. That's H as in Harry, D as in David, S as in Sam. EvolveHDS.com. And if you want to sign up to be on our mailing list, that would be a great way for you to stay in touch with what's going on with us, to get information about upcoming events and how to get access to the book. The webinar registration is at evolvehds.com/relationships-unlimited. So that's the link that Lisa will be putting up. And yeah, we're really excited. The webinar is also going to be a platform that people can access special offers through an online program that will be launched for the first time in May, and people who register for that program will actually get a free copy of the book as well as the adjoining workbook that includes a lot of the processes that we use in live events. So lots of opportunities for people to take this home and begin practicing it and completely transforming their lives.
Wonderful. Well, so I'll be putting that link. I actually just put that link into the comments area. I'll also put the link into our description, and then Dolphin will be giving us the link for how you can sign up to register. I highly, highly recommend it. These two are doing amazing work in the world. Very different than a lot of the other stuff that's out there. So as you can tell, like I said, their passion for the work that they do, and clearly they know what their mission is here in the world. They're truly, truly wise and evolved beings. So I want to thank you both for being on the show today.
Yeah, Lisa, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, it's wonderful to be here. Thank you, Lisa.
Yeah, absolutely. And for all of you who are viewing it live or in replay, please do leave your questions and comments for both Dolphin and Susan. You can leave them right below the video here, and we'll make sure that we get back in touch with you, answer any questions or comments that you might have. So once again, I'm going to thank my guests, Dolphin and Susan Kasper. It's been so wonderful to have you both on the show today, and thank you all, you viewers who came live and those who are watching us in replay. It really is my belief that each and every one of us is capable of achieving radical transformation, of achieving quantum breakthroughs in our life. It's just that sometimes we weren't given the tools and the resources, the education that we need in order to do that. And that's really the purpose of this show, is to give you those tools and resources. So just as a reminder, as we close out here, I'm Lisa Ingalls. You can also find out more about me at www.innerstatecoaching.com. You can download a free report there called How to Create Radical Breakthroughs. So thanks again, everybody, for joining us today. We're going to sign on out and see you all next time.
Thanks, Lisa. Take care. Look forward to next time.
Okay.